But just think about the story I broke this morning. 4 years after Crossfire Hurricane and the October surprise of trying to drop a fake Russia story into Americans' laps before they voted for Donald Trump, the FBI was at it again. After all that was learned, after all the hearings, after all the letters written by angry senators and chairmen, the FBI felt absolute impunity to do this again. 2 weeks before the election, there is an FBI team in the Washington field office where a lot of this stuff starts. By the way, this isn't Arctic Frost. This is pre-Arctic Frost. Post-Crossfire Hurricane, pre-Arctic Frost. Someone sitting in the FBI thinking it's a good job, good idea, 2 weeks before Election Day to go through all of Donald Trump's campaign finances and see if I can find something I can hang a criminal investigation on. And their idea that they actually issue an official bulletin on, an intelligence bulletin, is, hey, I looked at this money, Donald Trump pays his vendors, the vendors pay their people, and one of the people who got paid goes out and gambles. That could be criminal. All right, how is getting a paycheck and using it for gambling criminal? But that's what they're doing. And then they have to admit that this is pretty lousy investigative work, so they put it at low confidence level that that this is probably a true crime. And then they recommend, let's go investigate anyways. Go take the steps to get this to be a criminal investigation against Donald Trump. Now, you're not doing that 2 weeks before an election because it just showed up on your deck. Someone is driving this for political purposes. That's what it looks like when you look at these documents. Now, contrast this to what was going on in the same Washington field office, in the same FBI under Chris Wray. In that same time frame is when all that intelligence comes in that China might be intervening in the U.S. election, getting fake driver's licenses and fake ballots so they can help Joe Biden win. And what does the FBI do with that one? It says, circular, we're going to throw it in the garbage can. That is the FBI in 2020. It was just as bad and maybe even worse under Chris Wray than it was in 2016 under Comey. The mindset was not crushed, and it became more emboldened in 20. And then in 21, 22, you see how emboldened it is when they get to Arctic Frost. This cancer kept spreading, it kept metastasizing, and more people thought it was okay to settle political scores under the power of government color. And I think that's the cancer we're now fighting. And it's more deep-rooted today than it's ever been. There's been a lot of, progress made in firing and moving people. But there are agencies we don't even talk about, like the National Archives, that were in on this. They were helping this machinery to crush MAGA, create the MAGA dragnet and crash the MAGA movement. And we have a lot of work to expose who all those people are. We're hardly, maybe 3% into the project.